I really believe that one of the biggest misconceptions in America is that trades are somehow a backup plan for folks, when
Yep.
in reality, skilled tradespeople are the backbone of our entire economy.
Yep.
Every home, hospital, school, data center depends on them. And what we're trying to do is make sure that we're elevating the profession. I want this to be a professionally run, consultative source where consumers can feel confident in the guidance that they're going to receive. And
Yep.
many of us have spiritual advisors, physical, fitness advisors, right? You can go down the list, financial advisors, you name it. But rarely, with one of the biggest assets that most Americans own, does somebody walk out and say, I have a home advisor. This is who I call to understand the systems of my home, and I trust them implicitly. And we
Yeah.
really seek to be that source.
This episode is brought to you by Pierre Tax and Accounting, led by CPA Eric Pierre, a seasoned accounting and tax expert with years of experience helping individuals and businesses navigate complex financial landscapes. Whether you need personal tax planning, business tax strategy, bookkeeping, or financial planning support, Eric and his team are committed to helping you protect and grow your financial future with clarity and confidence. To get expert guidance you can trust, check out Pierre Tax and Accounting at pierreaccounting.com. This episode is brought to you by my friend Silas Lagoy over at ForgeMark Wealth. If you're a high-income business owner or professional and feel like you're getting crushed by taxes, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not stuck. ForgeMark Wealth specializes in advanced legal tax strategies and wealth planning designed to help you keep more of what you make, grow it efficiently, and actually build long-term freedom, not just income. If you're making serious money but don't have a real strategy behind it yet, I highly recommend connecting with Silas and his team. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Builder's Bible. I'm joined by Tom Teynor, who is Tom, you know what? I should have asked you that before we hopped on. Are you the president, CEO? What's your title?
President, CEO, and a part owner.
Part owner of Bell Plumbing, but Bell is much more than plumbing. They've been around for 100 years. They do plumbing, HVAC, electrical, drains. They are a full service, home service business. I see their trucks everywhere in Colorado. So they are killing it, and I'm excited to pick his brain. Tom, just tell us, how you got started, how we wound up where we are today.
Yeah, that sounds good. I've thought about this a lot, and I realized that my grandfather was actually a craftsman. Back when you were probably responsible for a lot of different things. I think that translated to my dad, who trained me in on a bunch of these things. Neither of them were specifically in the trades, but after rehabbing two houses myself, took a very hands-on approach and really just have an appreciation for the work, the effort, the craftsmanship that goes into this industry. I moved to Denver in 2011 to run an HVAC manufacturing firm, and learned an enormous amount during that experience. Ended up selling that business, working for another couple of startups, and then received a phone call to come and work here at Bell Plumbing and Heating. And for the last 5 years, we've really been transforming the business. As you mentioned, we're 100 years old, and it's just been incredibly enjoyable for me, and just feels very right, and a great mission for my life overall.
What's up, everybody? This episode is sponsored by ExitWise. If you're a business owner thinking about selling your company, whether that's now or years down the road, you need to know what your business is actually worth and how to maximize that exit. That's exactly what ExitWise does. They help you prepare, position, and ultimately sell your business by assembling a world-class team of M&A experts around you, guiding you from valuation all the way through closing. If you want to know what your business is really worth and how to increase that number before you sell, go check out exitwise.com and get ahead of it. You guys are, growing, it seems, so fast. And I see your trucks everywhere. And every plumber and home service company has like a unique edge or value prop. How have you guys been able to grow to where you are today?
I think that the long-standing brand presence really helps.
Hmm.
However, I think it's the fact that we employ union contractors who are, have at least 5 years of experience.
Hmm.
Fundamentally, they get the diagnosis right. And we're very consultative in our approach. And I think that that leads to word of mouth. It's interesting. I just spoke with one of our customers. She's 100 years old. She's been doing business with Bell for 80 years. Often I will talk with customers who'll tell me that they're the third or fourth generation of their family that has done work with Bell. And so
Wow,
we
that's so
have
cool.
this gift of having provided great service over the years that we're able to, to leverage. But we take that responsibility very seriously. And as a result, we look to hire very strong, consultative driven, service oriented individuals. And I think that that's just been the biggest factor for driving our growth.
Yeah. I mean, the skilled labor thing is the pain point for pretty much anybody in the service-based businesses. So if you guys have an edge on that, I mean, I know the audience is probably perked up because that is the number one challenge that I hear across the board. Yeah. Yeah.
It is. We
What are
definitely
some
are
pain
seeing. Yeah, go
what are
ahead.
some what are some pain points or things right now that you're trying to solve for? What are some sticking points in your business?
You know, Here in Denver, for those that are watching from Denver, you know that we've had a very unusual winter. I would call it a non-winter. And, while that's, I think, good for all of us to get outdoors, I know many of us love to do that. It stresses equipment less. And so the weather volatility definitely has an impact on the business. Additionally, inflation of material costs. We'll have
Mm,
customers that have been doing business with us forever. They replaced their water heater with us, 12, 15 years ago, and they're surprised at the price change. Through the
mm,
pandemic, the supply chain shortages, and all of those sorts of things, the price of these materials and the price of these jobs have gone up. And that's usually a big shock to customers. We're very customer focused here, and it's really difficult, to have conversations about just how much there's been a price increase in the marketplace, really, even over the last 5 years.
yeah. Yeah, I know all my friends that are roofers are hurting too because it was a record low year for hail and things like that. It's crazy to think about how the weather could affect so much of your trade or industry that people just kind of sit on their hands and don't want to buy anything from you.
Right.
Yeah. So are you praying for hot or cold or any sort of extreme? Is either one of those good for you?
I pray about a lot of things, but it's not generally the weather. I feel like, that is we take what's given to us and we help our customers and meet them where their needs are. It's going to be
Yeah.
90 degrees potentially here in Denver next week, which would
Yeah.
be a record breaking in the earliest time period. And I know that we'll have customers that are on oxygen, others with health conditions that need air conditioning. And if the air conditioning fails, we want to be there to help them. And so
Yeah.
that's a big focus for us.
This episode is brought to you by 10x Nerds. If you're a business owner doing real revenue, there's a good chance you're overpaying in areas you haven't even looked at. Things like credit card processing, insurance, telecom, and more. 10x Nerds comes in, audits your expenses across 30 plus categories, and finds immediate savings. And here's the kicker: they only get paid if they save you money. It's a complete no brainer. If you want to keep more of what you make, go check them out at 10xnerds.com. This episode is brought to you by Rakowski Law Firm. If you're a business owner or have built a level of wealth, but you don't have your estate plan dialed in, you're exposed. Rakowski Law Firm helps families and business owners protect their assets, avoid probate, and make sure everything transfers exactly how it should. This isn't just paperwork, it's a real strategy to protect your legacy. If you haven't looked at your plan in a while or don't have one, go to rakowskilawfirm.com. What are some systems or tools that have made the biggest difference for your company as you've grown and scaled?
It's interesting. I mean, technology for us really isn't about efficiency. It's about delivering a better customer experience for homeowners. I talk with the team here about the fact that really we're a technology business that happens to do plumbing. As
Mm,
consumers, you and I, you've probably experienced this. You want
yeah.
to send an email when you're in front of your computer, and then when you're in the middle of getting kids out the door, getting to an appointment, you need to make a phone call, and later maybe send a text or go online to a website and submit your request because you're on a conference call. And I think consumers today expect this multimodal, multi-channel capability with a common understanding and the ability for you to provide that service, not just across all those channels, but to have continuity across them, right? So you could send that web form the night before, receive a text message from our dispatcher, and be able to respond with a phone call. And all of that works seamlessly because we're all very busy, right? And
Yeah.
so we want to make sure that we're really we're using technology to enable a really optimized customer experience. I don't want customers to necessarily worry about the technology. I just want them to know they can get a hold of us no matter how it works best for them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. And I always like to ask Tom, and this kind of bleeds into that question, so I'm not trying to veer off track too much, but where
Sure.
do you feel like AI is affecting, the home service space, or how are you guys leveraging it in particular?
Sure. Well, AI is definitely going to have an impact on this industry. One of the things I thought was really interesting, I saw a video of a robot cleaning a commercial space, wiping out the sinks and things. I really think
Hmm.
it's going to be a long time until AI or robots replace skilled tradespeople. Maybe for some basic tasks, in the short term, but I think that's more of a longer term issue. I think the trades are going to be primarily impacted by AI in two ways. One is the upfront customer service experience,
Yep.
and secondarily, it's the operational efficiency and excellence that everyone will expect.
Yep.
I believe that at some point you're going to be able to say, Alexa, can you please, I don't have hot water. Can you please book an appointment? And your
Yep.
AI is going to call Bell's AI, and we're going to resolve that in an efficient way and get you hot water as quickly as we can. I
Yeah.
don't think that that is too far out into the future. And so,
Yeah.
we're looking at AI not as, as the fundamental tool that the world is headed towards. We want to understand where and how it best enables the best customer experience.
Yeah. Amen. And I love that, because I think that when we talk about AI and when people kind of shut it down, I've noticed, initially their thought is, oh, it's going to replace jobs. And I'm like, it's just a way to leverage your existing staff.
Mhm.
You're just leveraging their capacity. Your estimator can estimate more. Your admin can do more admin, right? No one's getting fired or replaced. I just have to get the right butts and seats and leverage their capacity with AI. So I love that.
It's being respectful of employees as well, right? I want to take a call from a customer who has sewage in their basement at 10:30, 11:30 at night and know that, we don't have, an employee, somebody that is in Denver working a night shift, right? And sometimes that works for folks, but I would love to provide an experience where we can accept that call, help get that job booked, and make sure that they know that we're going to be there for them quickly. And it's
Yeah.
all about speed and efficiency and helping our
Yep.
customers accomplish what they care about.
Speed to lead. Speed to lead. Love that.
Yep.
Um, Tom, what's a mistake that has taught you something valuable?
I have a story about this. I reflect probably, I'm probably hardest on myself, honestly, and think about the things that I could have done better. And I try to think about these mistakes as learnings to improve for the future. One that caught me off guard, we're in the service business, and we are all about providing high quality service to customers. I came in with a very proactive mindset around what that looked like. I want our customer to win no matter what. If there's
Yeah.
something that happens during that job that doesn't go well, we're going to make it right. That's part of being in business for 100 years, right? You don't stay in business that long if you're not doing that blocking and tackling. And we actually found, you remember REI used to allow you to bring in gear from any time. You could bring in running shoes that you'd had for 5 years, and they would accept and do some kind of repair, replace, type of plan. And they had to change
Hmm.
that because unfortunately, a small number of people would sort of buy shoes, use them, and just keep returning and going through and abusing the system. Well,
Yeah.
we have a very liberal policy around making sure that things are right. And we found that that was weaponized against us a little bit. And so we
Hmm.
course corrected because there is a balance between providing amazing customer service and also being protective of the employees and the business overall. And so we still
Hmm.
have a very strong policy of making sure that things are right for customers. Right, they're going
Yeah.
to win one way or another, even if we need to go back out there. And
Yeah.
we just found a great way to take care of that. But that was a mistake that I made early on. We didn't have any kind of governor on that program, and now we've got some guardrails that just help make sure that everybody's winning.
Hmm. That's good. And that makes total sense that people would have taken advantage of that. If it's too good to be true, then people often will.
Well, when the third family member calls in and does a job and then says there are issues and asks for a refund, you start kind of getting the idea that maybe there's something going on, right?
That fourth generation family using you guys is bringing that same furnace in, and you're like, wait a sec, what's going on here?
Right.
I love that. I love that. Where do you feel like the future of the service, home service space is going?
Well, I certainly think that it's going to be more important than ever. I think that we are. I just read an interesting stat from a great publication I follow in this space that says that for every five tradespeople that are retiring, only two are entering, and I think that's changing a little bit. I think that the the news and the visibility around AI is sort of having Gen Z and Gen A start to think about the fact that, wait a minute, I could go and make six figures pretty
Yep.
quickly
Yep.
after a maybe shorter time of school, perhaps even. And so we're seeing a little bit more of a resurgence. So I think that's going to be a really positive thing. I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of demand. And I think fewer people are interested in wanting to DIY work themselves. And systems are frankly becoming more complicated, especially in the
Yep.
electrical side, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the reasons why I'm on the board of the Rocky Mountain Mechanical Contractors Association, which is the group that does the collective bargaining with. We happen to be all of our employees are in the union, and we collectively, that organization got together and created the Western States College of Construction here in Denver. It's a model first in the country where we've made it's a degreed program in the trades. And so the goal is that we're going to try to drive more and more folks into this college, remove the stigma of it being, hey, this is a fallback position, in terms of this being actually a degreed career where there's a lot of interest, driving towards that point. And that's something that we feel passionate about, and certainly work to make sure that our employees are receiving the education that they need, and that we will have the skilled workforce that's required.
That's great. I love that. And, I wish there was a way for me to snap my fingers and make trade school sexy again. But it does seem to be that people are like waking up to this reality that plumbers, builders, things like that, they're not going to get replaced as quickly as programmers, low level legal tasks. So, yeah, I think there's a huge opportunity in that space.
Yeah, I really think, and I'm passionate about this. I really believe that one of the biggest misconceptions in America is that trades are somehow a backup plan for folks, when
Yep.
in reality, skilled tradespeople are the backbone of our entire economy. Every
Yep.
home, hospital, school, data center depends on them.
Hmm.
And what we're trying to do is make sure that we're elevating the profession. I want this to be a professionally run, consultative source where consumers can feel confident in the guidance that they're going to receive.
Yep.
Many of us have spiritual advisors, physical, fitness advisors, right? You can go down the list, financial advisors, you name it. But rarely, with one of the biggest assets that most Americans own, does somebody walk out and say, I have a home advisor. This is who I call to understand the systems of my home, and I trust them implicitly. And we
Yeah.
really seek to be that source.
Yeah. That's such a good word. By the way, I was curious, and I slipped my mind earlier, but what percentage? So you guys are, I don't know if we even talked about your revenue, but by the way, guys, Bell is not a small deal. Like they're probably top five in, definitely in Denver, if not in Colorado. What percentage, Tom, is HVAC versus plumbing versus, electrical for your guys' revenue?
Yeah, so HVAC and plumbing are just about the same split. Electrical is our fastest growing division. We can't hire enough electricians quickly enough, given the electrification goals that a lot of consumers have, home automation, and so that's probably 50% of the kind of plumbing and HVAC business. But at the end of the day, we believe that our electrical group is going to, at some point, exceed those other
Wow.
trades.
Cool. That's amazing. Is there anything we haven't talked about today that gets you fired up?
That's a great question. Let me think about that for just a second here.
Yeah, of
I mean, a lot,
course.
a lot gets me fired up. I mean, I just love
Shoot,
doing what I
it could be even a hot take about Denver sports team. I'm up in anything here. Yeah.
do. I mean, I love that. I mean, I grew up in Minnesota, so I love hockey, and watching the Avs this year has been a lot of fun. I've really
Yeah.
enjoyed that, and So I've been to a few games, and that's really great. But I think that one thing that I've learned about running the trade business is that, or any service business, is that trust is everything. When
Yeah.
someone invites you into your home, it's very personal to come and
Yeah.
fix a problem, right?
Hmm.
It's a huge responsibility that I think we take very seriously. And, our company is really built around honoring that trust and making sure that we're delivering for customers. I give my cell phone number out to customers on a regular basis, probably five
Mm.
times a week,
Mm.
because I'm passionate enough about trying to make sure that we're able to get them the help that they need. And, I just really appreciate the opportunity to serve others. I take that seriously. I think that's a fundamental human condition that we can all aspire to, whether it's your family, serving others, etc. And I think one thing I'd love to leave listeners with is that the trades really are far more important to our economy than most people realize. I think every
Yeah.
home, as I mentioned, depends on this, and we as a society, I think, need to find a way to make this work for everybody.
Yeah. Amen. Good word. Well, Tom, if people want to learn more about who you are and your company, where can they go?
Certainly, bellplumbing.com. We're also available on the social channels, and you can hit us on our website. You can send us a text message. We're just generally available and excited to try and help the community.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Don't go anywhere because I want to keep talking, but thanks for coming on the show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.